We're now going to look at the use of an if statement, and so if I type if, it's going to set up an if statement frame, and I must provide as the first field a condition. So for example here, having already defined A, if A is greater than 3, shall we say. And then I can create statements under the then that will be executed if that condition is true. Notice that there are two levels of indentation here, that then is indented from the if, and that the statements that go in the then, let's say a print statement, is indented further. If I select on the then, you can see that because there is no end then, the extent of the frame is just the then until I get to something at the same level, which might be the end if, or as we'll look in a moment, might be an else statement. So if I want to create an else statement, it goes at this level. Now, if you've previously deleted all these, which you may, and we now want to create an else clause, then it's important that you can't create an else clause there. Else is not an option there. You create an else clause by selecting on the then and pressing enter, and that creates the possibility of an else clause at the same level of indentation as the then. So I'll just type else. The only other option there was a comment. An else can be, if it's the last clause, can be just an else, or it can be an intermediate clause, an else if, where you define another condition. So else if A is less than 0, let's say. I can create as many else if statements as I like. Else if A is 2, as we could do. And I can move these clauses, complete with their contents, up and down. I can't, however, move them up past the then. The then has to be the first clause in an if. Shift. And if I were to insert a new one above this else clause, I'm just hitting Shift Enter here, and type else, then if I failed to use the condition there, I would in due course get a compile error saying you cannot have an else if after an else. So I'm going to have to delete that one, Control Delete, and put my else clause down at the bottom. So let's now look at a more realistic example in situ in this binary search algorithm, and we can see here in the binary search function that we have one if statement here that just contains a then clause. But that then, the statement body for the then, contains two variable declarations, and then another, what we call nested if statement. And this if statement has a then clause doing one thing, an else if clause with the condition is before, and a final else clause.